I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get it, no call it quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve. Stress, shield my greed. That's how I get it. Success ain't no giving. Some days I don't eat, I don't sleep. When I'm focused on dangerous, down wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank. I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze. The roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag. I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag. I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket. Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me. Elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit. Nose diving ain't the option. Woo! Watch how I get ahead. Watch how I get ahead. Watch how I get ahead.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my final thoughts for UFC 294. We got Islam Makhachev taking on Alexander Volkanovski 2. We have a 13-fight card. We have an early start time as well. The fights are starting 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, so looking forward to getting up early, watching some fights, and having it all be done by probably like 4 or 5 Eastern time in the afternoon. So looking forward to it. Before we get started, if you guys could please do me a favor, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. You see the Prize Picks promo code down at the bottom of the screen, DFSBTN. If you want to check out Prize Picks, use promo code DFSBTN. Get yourself a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And now's a great time to sign up because they are doing a promotion where you get kind of a free square with Steph Curry, 0.5 points. All he has to do is score 1 point on Tuesday night, which I think he should be able to do that. So go check out Prize Picks. And yeah, other thing to mention is I will be going live for Best Bet today. Didn't want to do it early Saturday morning. So going to be going live for Best Bet at 7 o'clock Eastern time in about 3 hours. We got Lou Betcha coming on and then Danny Betts. So that should be a fun show coming up in about 3 hours there. So make sure you look forward to that. And yeah, looking forward to this card. I do have 10 bets, 9 of which being plus money. Very chalky card here. Probably one of the most chalkiest cards of the week. I think a lot of favorites probably do come through. I guess it's all going to come down to who's going to be that underdog or two that go out there and ruins these parlays. I think there's a couple that might be live here, but not a ton of underdogs I really like this week at all. So I think a lot of these favorites do roll, but we're not getting a ton of value at all on a lot of these favorites. I think a lot of these lines are very, very wide. So it's a very interesting card from a betting perspective. We'll talk all about that. But I do want to say what's up to the chat. We got Jacob, first one here. Hamzat by Smeshy, I think so as well. What is up, Jacob? How you doing? We got Sean in the chat as well. Let's go, Brady. What is up, Sean? We got Thomas saying easy money on most of the favorites in this one. Yeah, I mean, the closest line fight is the Trevor Peek Muhammad Yahya fight, and literally everybody's on Trevor Peek. I don't think I've seen one person this week on Muhammad Yahya. Actually, I did see one person today. I saw one person today take the shot on Muhammad Yahya. We got Tony saying this card is a parlay lover's dream with chalky favorites in almost every fight. Let's cash some tickets. Yes, I think it's a very parlay heavy card. I personally don't have any parlays this week, but there were some parlay legs I was looking out for, but there wasn't a parlay I absolutely loved. So I'm going to stand away from the parlay pieces this week personally, but I'm sure a lot of parlays will be made this week. That's for sure. We got Jeff in the chat. Let's go, fellas. Let's make some money. Let's do it. I'm on a 4-event winning streak. The reads haven't been the best, but, have been able to hit some pretty big props the last couple weeks. Joe Pyfer round 2 sub in general. Darren Elkins round 3 plus 1,800. So I'm hoping the reads are a lot better this week, and hopefully we can make it a 5-event winning streak and to go off into a 1-week break. We got DB saying you better move. You might get knocked out. That is true. I think we will see some knockouts tomorrow as well. We got Morgan in the chat. What is up, Morgan? Michael in the chat. How you doing, Michael? We got SI saying, let's go, Brady. I'm super excited for this card. Haven't been this excited since SLC. Yeah, I'm excited too. I think on paper, it's probably one of the best pay-per-views of the year. I think UFC 295 next month is going to be very good as well. And then UFC 296 is going to be incredible. So, 294, 295, 296, I think is a perfect way to end this year. I mean, it's been a really fun year thus far, but these last 3 pay-per-view cards are going to be ridiculous. Like even the next card, the Sao Paulo Brazil card, it's going to be a very good card. So yeah, lots of things to look forward to as a fight fan, that's for sure. We got Jacob saying a coffee and UFC best combo. Yeah, I'm gonna get a coffee myself, that's for sure. Looking forward to that. Got Jordan saying big time Russian parlay this weekend. Yeah, I think a lot of these parlays will probably come through. Got Mason saying I'm liking a 9 mob this weekend. Scary power in the sands. Yeah, I think that's his one path. That knockout. This guy has power for sure. You're fading the Russian. I don't know about doing that this weekend. Matthew saying, Brady, you may have to dip back into the parlay world only for this card. I mean, I think there's a couple parlay pieces that stick out, but nothing I really loved. And it's one of those cards where the parlay pieces I do like, they're getting blown out, man. I mean, we have favorites that are minus 500, minus 600. So it's really hard to make these parlays unless you're doing like 3-4 legs to even get even money this time around. So it's a difficult week for me personally. I've been trying to stay away from the chalk this year, but I was able to find 9+ money plays this week. We got Michael saying, Brady, I read somewhere that fighters in Abu Dhabi are 17-2 when their last names end in V. The ones that lost usually lost another one ending with V. Nonetheless, it's interesting that if so, that is a very interesting stat there. Very interesting stat. We have a couple fighters on this card that end with V. We got Magomedov going against Bruno Silva, Muhammad Makayev, Seidner Magomedov, and Gaffarov both have a V. We got Makhachev, obviously, Chimaev, Ankalaev, lots of Vs. Alaskarov. I think on the main card, there's a V on in every fight there. So, yeah, I think a lot of these favorites do come through. I think a lot of these Vs do come through as well. Trevor Peek was fantastic at face-offs. I'm really looking forward to Trevor Peek. You know, he's a very, very fun fighter. I saw his Instagram the other day, and he was he was talking about how he's going to put Yaya to sleep. He's saying, I don't know, it was funny, but yeah, Trevor Peek's awesome. He's really looking forward to this fight. Matty Betts is on Yaya. There we go. We got somebody else on Yaya. Yeah, a ton of people on Trevor Peek this week. I am one of those myself. Blom Dog in the chat. What is up, Blom Dog? Jason in the chat as well. Sup, Brady? Thanks again for your work. My tape says the Red Predator thrashes Bruno Silva to start the night. Yeah, I think so as well. I'm not betting on that fight, though. What time is best bet? 7 o'clock Eastern time in about 3 hours there. Appreciate you, Emmanuel. And this fight card is fire. I agree, 100%. We got Abdi saying, you got me into taking Hamza inside the distance. I got it at plus 125 after the whole knee thing. For some reason, FanDuel made a mistake. Then went back to minus 120. Yeah, saw that. Somebody in my Discord posted that Hamzat inside the distance was plus 125 for some reason. And by the time I saw that, I went to check FanDuel and it was gone. So yeah, it was there. It was there for a little bit. So Abdi was one of the people that got on it. Heck of a line there, that's for sure. I think he's minus 150 inside the distance now. So you beat some serious line movement there. And then Michael saying Trevor Peek inside the distance is one of my favorite picks, mine as well. All right, guys. I say we get into it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out Prize Picks, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. That's where you'll find all my other content. And yeah, we got a week off next week. I'm going to be spending the week off getting ahead to Sao Paulo. I'm really looking forward to the card next week, so I'm sure I'll be getting out some early bets as well. All right. And best long shot prop to win. I've had like a bunch in a row, man. I had Zellhuber sub 2, Pfeiffer sub 2, Elkins round 3, Brundage round 1. I don't really have anything like that this week, to be honest. But we'll see if we can find something. And then before we get into it, we got a parlay, Pat and Dono here. Appreciate you, parlay. Nice to see you, Brady. Let's make some money as always. Appreciate the donut. Appreciate you for stopping by. Does mean a lot, parlay. And best of luck to you tomorrow. All right. I say we get into it. We're going to start with the first fight on the card. We got Shara Magomedov going against Bruno Silva. Yeah, I'm not touching this fight. I've heard some people this week say Magomedov might be a fraud. I don't really think so. I was actually impressed. I think my expectations were pretty high. Magomedov going into watching the tape on him because this guy, pretty hyped fighter. A lot of people are talking about this guy, hyping him up. And yeah, I went and watched him. I was very impressed with his striking. He's a very, very good striker. Can be a little bit low volume at times, but he's a knockout artist. Has a ton of power. And what I think makes this fight most interesting is just the Bruno Silva side. Bruno Silva's a guy that when he wins, it's typically by knockout. And when he loses, it's typically by submission. I mean, Bruno Silva has like 7 submission losses on his record. It's ridiculous. And the funny thing about Magomedov is he has no submissions. So something kind of has to give here. I do lean towards the Magomedov side just because Bruno Silva, he's looked off ever since that Alex Pereira fight where he went the full 15 minutes with Alex Pereira. I thought his stock rose in that fight. He showed a lot of toughness, a lot of durability. It wasn't really competitive, but he was able to hang in there for 3 rounds. But he did get hurt a lot in that fight. He took a ton of damage in that fight. He was rocked, wobbling around the cage the entire 3rd round. And I think that fight against Alex Pereira definitely took a little bit something out of Bruno Silva because after that, he looked piss poor against Gerald Mearshart. It looked terrible. He looked like he was in slow motion. He gassed out in 2 minutes. I mean, he looked awful. Didn't look much better in the Tavares fight, but he ended up catching Brad Tavares eventually. And then he didn't look too great in the Brendan Allen fight. I'm starting to kind of worry about the durability of Bruno Silva. He's been finished 7 times, and he's been getting hurt in a lot of his fights. Alex Pereira hurt him on multiple occasions. We saw even Jordan Wright hurt Bruno Silva. Brendan Allen dropped Bruno Silva. And then of all people, Gerald Mearshart dropped Bruno Silva. If you're getting dropped by guys like Gerald Mearshart, Brendan Allen, and even Jordan Wright, I mean, I'm starting to worry about his durability a little bit. But yeah, I like Magomedov here. I don't like the price tag. I think Bruno Silva is live in a sense that he's going to come forward. These guys are going to stand and bang. Silva typically is durable, and he does have power, but I do lean towards Magomedov getting him out of there. But nothing's really sticking out on a money line perspective. Magomedov's nearly minus 300. Minus 300 on a debuting guy against somebody as dangerous as Bruno Silva. Not really something I want to play with there. And then as far as the total, they're all over it and even more. The fight doesn't go to decisions, like minus 270. So nothing's really sticking out here for me from a betting perspective. From a DraftKings perspective, I do like it though. I think both these guys have knockout upside. I think there's not a ton of dogs on this card that really stick out, but Bruno Silva could be one of them at 7,600. Get $1,000 savings off of Magomedov, and Bruno Silva is a guy that is going to absolutely fight for your money. He's going to try to take off his opponent's head. So from a DraftKings perspective, I think both sides are in play, but Bruno Silva as a dog on DraftKings is a little bit more interesting. But from a betting perspective, not much is really sticking out to me there. So I'm going to be sitting back and watching this first fight on the card, but should be an absolute great fight. I was actually shocked to see it as the first fight of the night because it's a very, very, very good, exciting fight. Are you doing a prize picks video? I don't think so. I did talk some prize picks on my full card breakdown and prediction video. I talked about 2 plays I do like, and then we could talk some prize picks on the show as well. How's Jubilee Mahacha parlay sounding? Not terrible. I like it personally. I don't think you'll get plus money on it though. But yeah, a lot of people are on Mike Breeden this week, like a lot. Bruno Silva always looks like he's one step slower than his opponents, even when he wins. Especially lately, I'd say he looks a lot worse lately. Ever since that Pereira fight. Alves Aliskerov fight starts round 2 is minus 105. I don't mind that. Don't mind that. Watch that dude's kicks. I actually predict the beginning of the end starts in the clinch. Yes, kicks are nasty. Over 1 round, minus 175 for this fight would be a sweat, but I kind of do lean towards getting to the 2nd or 3rd round. Magomedov beat a man for kissing his girlfriend. LOL, one wrong move from Silva will set him off. I thought he beat a man because the guy was kissing his own girlfriend, not Magomedov's girlfriend. But either way, I mean, yeah, I did see that as well. Some dude that got Hamzat Lip got his eye though. Any prize picks, Brady? Yeah, we could talk some prize picks. I do like the Jubilee more than 1.5 takedowns. Not sure if that's moved. And then on my full card prediction video, I gave out Trevor Peak more than like 76 fantasy points, but that got completely smashed. I still don't mind it though. I think last time I saw it was around like mid 80s, but those are probably my 2 favorites there. Favorite DK play, 7,400 and below. I mean, there's not much at all. 7,400 and below. You got Gafarov there. You got Fry, who's terrible. Naimov, Puncher's Chance. Victor Henry, Tim Elliott. I mean, there's like nothing. Johnny Walker, Kamaru Usman. I'd probably say Johnny Walker just because he does have a ton of power, and if he does win, it's probably early. But I don't even like that, to be honest. I mean, I'm really struggling to find some plays down low I like. All right, 1 sec. All right. Blum saying, I hope Bruno Silva looks great and destroys this sucker puncher dude. Wishful thinking. Did I see that vid? Yes, I did see that vid. Okay, now Magomedov see from that eye. I don't think so. Thoughts on Dumas fight for DraftKings? We'll talk about it. What? Hamzat Chimaev is gonna smash. I hope so. Appreciate you, Josh. All right, and MGM has the fastest fight of the night bet. Hamzat's 26-1. Okay, don't hate it. All right, let's get into the next fight here. We got Victoria Dudakova going against Jinyu Fry. We had Dudakova, one of the two fighters that missed weight. She weighed in at 116.6, so a slight weight miss for Dudakova. Yeah, she looked rough. She was breathing very heavy. I think she had a really tough weight cut, and she did not continue cutting, that extra 0.6 pounds there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that affects my pick too much, just due to the fact that I'm not a big fan of Jinyu Fry. She's now 38 years old at strawweight. She's small for the division. She's going to be undersized here. Jinyu Fry, I think she's like 2-6 in the UFC. She doesn't throw any volume. She doesn't have much of a ground game off her back. I feel like Dudakova should win this fight pretty easily. We'll take a look at the line. Dudakova is currently sitting minus 560, which that makes her I think the second biggest favorite on the card. No, makes her the third biggest favorite. My goodness, we have a card full of chalky fighters. Okay, Javid is minus 600, and Alistair is minus 565. So yeah, third biggest favorite here, Dudakova. The way I played it was, Dudakova inside the distance, half a unit plus 150. Dudakova by submission, quarter unit plus 400. You take a look at Dudakova. She's finishing fights. Dudakova has 7 wins, 6 of which come inside the distance. The only win she did not finish was on the Contender Series, and she did hurt her leg in that fight. So, yeah, Dudakova, 86% finish rate, the majority of those coming by submission. She does, I think, have either a corner stoppage or a doctor stoppage, something like that. She also had an injury, TKO, in her last fight, but when she is winning fights, she typically is winning them by submission. Jinyu Fry has been submitted before in the UFC, and it was against 1K Hansen in the 3rd round. So it's one of those where I think it's either going to be a pretty dominant decision for Dudakova, but at the very least, I think she's going to get multiple opportunities to finish this fight, especially if she's able to get it down to the ground. The submission attempts will be there. The ground and pound will be there. I think Dudakova has a solid chance of winning this fight in very dominant fashion there. From a DraftKings perspective, I'm not touching Jinyu Fry. She's horrible on DraftKings. She doesn't do anything. But as far as Dudakova, I think she's going to be semi-low owned up there. I think she has takedown upside, ground and pound upside, and some sneaky finish upside as well. So like Dudakova on DraftKings, like Dudakova inside the distance, probably late as well. Smash the like button. I agree. Shara by DQ. Lock it. Maybe you never know. Let's see here. The Cheshire Cat. You're not a big fan of Boston. What's wrong with Boston? Massive favorites this Saturday. You got tons of big favorites. Did Mackay make weight? Elliott's mad. I think Elliott was just joking, but yeah, I mean, I think he made weight there. We got Blom saying, I like Dudakova sub inside the distance. Dudakova sub 2. Is sub 2 the best bet in sports? I think sub 2 is the best bet in sports. I'm kind of leaning around 3 though. Jinyu Fry suck. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of her, but some people like Jinyu Fry. I think she's like 2-6 in the UFC or 2-4. It's not great. Parlaying Dudakova to win and over 1.5 at minus 250. Not the best line. Yeah, not the best line, but I do lean towards that hitting as well. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We got Nathaniel Wood going against Muhammad Naimov. Not much sticking out here. It's one of those fights where Nathaniel Wood's just better in every single aspect of MMA, and it's really not even close. The only thing you got to worry about Nathaniel Wood is and always has been the chin, the durability. Nathaniel Wood, 5 losses, 4 of them coming inside the distance. We've seen him hurt a lot in the UFC. We've seen him dropped a lot in the UFC. And the one thing Naimov does do well is he hits really hard. So I think it's one of those fights where Nathaniel Wood should go out there, win this 30-27 pretty cleanly. But if Naimov was to pull off the upset, I think it's going to be a knockout shot there. Kind of like in his last fight against Jamie Malarkey. He was actually a bigger underdog in his fight against Jamie Malarkey, a much bigger underdog. I mean, Malarkey was like minus 500 something. Now Nathaniel Wood's only minus 300 something. And I think Nathaniel Wood is a much better fighter than, I know people like Jamie Malarkey for some reason. I think Nathaniel Wood's a much more talented fighter than Jamie Malarkey here. But yeah, I like Wood decision, but minus 300. I think there's better parlay pieces on the card. I have parlayed Wood only one time before in his career, and that was against Charles Rosa, just because Charles Rosa is not a knockout threat, whereas Naimov, he is. So it's one I'm staying away from. If anything, on DraftKings, Naimov 7,200, puncher's chance. He has power. Wood doesn't have the best durability. I think Naimov as a pump play is not the worst look in the world, but not a fight I'm overly looking forward to from a gambling perspective, I'd say. Volk getting knocked out, maybe that's, I don't know. I could potentially see somebody getting knocked out in the main event. We'll definitely talk about it. Usman gets knocked out. It's a retirement fight for Usman. I mean, I don't think he's retiring, but I hate to see him go out like that, but he's done. Yeah, I mean, I'd be kind of surprised if Usman did retire, but I don't know. Usman's chinny. Hi, Al. What's up, Brady? Cashed out nice, but Darren Elkins round 3. Thank you once again. Don't thank me. Thank Darren Elkins. I couldn't believe it, man. I mean, it all played out as expected. We expected TJ Brown to go in there, make terrible decisions, and we expected Darren Elkins to really put it on TJ Brown. He almost finished TJ Brown in the first round, which I would have been very upset. But yeah, this man right here got it done. Cashed a third round prop plus 1,800, keeping the winning streak alive. Shout out to Darren Elkins, the legend. What is your lock of the week? I don't have a lock of the week. Nothing, in my opinion, is a lock in MMA. We've seen crazy things happen. This is one of the craziest sports in the world. So I know nothing's a lock, but my most confident pick is probably, I don't even know. I guess Hamzat, I guess, but I don't know. I don't have a lock of the week. I'm sorry. Chimaev embarrasses people. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yeah, that Darren Elkins call last week was fire. Parlayed him round 3 or decision. There you go. Yeah, Darren Elkins got it done. Probably should have bet the I was looking at the Darren Elkins finish only as well. I was looking at the money line, but just settled for the round 3, which is fine. Still think Aliskerov likely in round 2. I think that's the most likely path. Yep. And we got Nate D saying, Brady, thanks for all the hard work you do. Smash the like, folks. Appreciate that. Nate, thank you for hanging out. Let's see here. Showing up to B-dubs in my Saudi address and Man Jam. Are you really, Michael? All right. Enjoy it. Has Bullet lock of the week. I can see that one. Thoughts on Shara? I mean, it's just talked about it. I think he wins, but minus 300. What are you going to do? All right. We'll keep moving on. We got Anshul Jubilee going against Mike Breeden. So yeah, Mike Breeden is the dog pick of the week. A lot of people, a lot of very sharp people on Mike Breeden, which I don't know. I mean, it kind of surprises me. A lot of people are crapping on Jubilee, like saying he sucks, saying he's a fraud. And I kind of couldn't disagree more. I mean, I was impressed with Jubilee. I think he's solid. I mean, he hasn't fought the best competition, but he's pretty good everywhere. His striking solid, his wrestling solid, his grappling solid. He's getting better and better. Jubilee's only 28 years old. We're going to see, massive improvements out of the guy. But yeah, Mike Breeden, a very popular underdog shot this week, and money's been pouring in on one Mike Breeden. Mike Breeden opened up plus 600 back in late September, and just money's been pouring in on him ever since. Went from plus 600 to plus 300 to plus 285, 270, 260, 250, 240, and he's currently sitting around plus 200 on some books. So yeah, I think Jubilee wins this fight. Mike Breeden did miss weight. He missed weight by a decent chunk. I think he missed weight by like 3.5 pounds. He didn't look the best. I think Jubilee wins this fight. I just don't really know a way to play this fight because he got Jubilee. The money lines came down a little bit, but do I want to go out there and lay minus 260 on Jubilee? Not really. I guess potential parlay piece, but I'm not parlaying anything this week. And then I kind of thought maybe Jubilee inside the distance, but that's not something I feel amazing about. And Jubilee inside the distance is only plus 100 on some books. So yeah, I mean, this is one I'm staying away from. I wish everybody luck on their Mike Breeden bets, but I think Jubilee probably does get it done. But there's nothing really sticking out to me from a betting perspective. On DraftKings, that's I think where I'm going to get my exposure. Jubilee 9,300. I think he has some takedown upside here, some control time upside, some sneaky finish upside. And then on Prize Picks, I don't mind the Jubilee more than a 1.5 takedowns, just due to the fact that Breeden's takedown defense is not great. He was taken down 9 times by Natan Levy, and I think Jubilee's going to come out here going for takedowns, rinse and repeat, and get at least 2 there. So Prize Picks, I like the Jubilee takedowns more. And then on DraftKings, I don't mind Jubilee. I think he's going to be one of the lower owned guys up in that 9K range. So give me Jubilee. Nothing really sticking out from a betting perspective. I even looked at like the Jubilee 2-3 props. They're trash. They're trash. They're awful. So yeah, nothing sticking out. Lots of money on Breeden. Yep. People like the 0-3, 0-4, if you count Contender Series as well. Mike Breeden. We'll see if he can pull it off. Mike missed weight. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Mike Breeden looked sick. He didn't look great. He didn't look great. Not look great. Yeah, I think Jubilee's. I think he's solid. I don't think he's like the best fighter in the world, but he's not. He's not a fraud. I don't think he's a fraud or nothing like that. Let's see here. Eric Gallistook. I also had the round 2 sub. I'm glad round 3 hit. You're talking about Elkins? Yeah, I just bet the round 3 straight. I didn't want to mess around with the sub or the knockout in round 3, but I think the round 3 sub was like plus 2,800, which is wild. Let's see here. I'm right there with you. The Cheshire Cat, Jubilee KO. It's kind of where I lean as well, but not extremely confident we're not getting the best price tag on it. Don't parlay Jubilee. I take a shot on his round 3 decision. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. But don't love it as well. I'm going to stay away from it. I thought about maybe adding some type of Jubilee play after Mike Breeden did significantly miss weight and not look the best, but there's really not a ton sticking out. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We got a great law-abiding citizen in Cedricus Dumas going against Abu Azatar, a guy that fights every 3 years. Yeah, this is probably the lowest level fight on the card. It's a fight that I'm not really looking forward to. I don't think either guy's that great. Like when I saw Cedricus Dumas was a favorite against Abu Azatar, I laughed out loud just because I feel like Dumas shouldn't be a favorite against anybody. And then you go and watch Azatar, and it's like, my goodness, this guy's fought twice in the last 7 years. He has 5 minutes of cardio. He's 37 years old. I mean, it's a very, very tricky fight. It's a fight I want nothing to do with. I think violence is okay. It's just I'm not sure if either of these guys are good enough to finish the other guy. I feel like I can see this fight going a lot of different ways. Cedricus Dumas at minus 250 is hilarious. I would not even think about laying that, but I think he probably does win just because Azatar has 5 minutes of cardio. So yeah, staying far away from this one. On DraftKings, I think it's probably something you have to play, although it is an ugly fight, just because, Dumas, he is dangerous. 8 wins, 7 of which come inside the distance. Azatar, he's dangerous early as well. He doesn't have much cardio, so I think it's one on DraftKings. I'm going to be targeting decently heavy, but from a betting perspective, I mean, there is no way I'm touching this fight. So, yeah, a fight that I'm not entirely looking forward to. The law-abiding citizen should be his nickname. Yeah, I mean, he's a great guy. Always following the rules. That's Cedricus Dumas. Nice that there we go. Nice that the UFC dusted Azatar off the shelf for this fight. Yeah, we're gonna see him fight, and then we'll see him fight in 2026 in a couple of years. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, I don't know if the weight miss is gonna help Breeden there. One word for this fight pass. Yeah, I mean you can't minus 250 for Dumas is wild because I don't think he's that great. I mean, he's looked just pitiful thus far in the UFC because outside the UFC, he looked good to me. I thought he looked decent, but inside the UFC, I mean, the fight against Fremd, he looked like he didn't belong in there. He looked awful. And then even the fight against Brundage, he looked terrible. But luckily for him, Brundage just didn't want to be there that night. Yeah, maybe he's gonna be motivated for like 5 minutes, but that's about it. What's up, Brady? Can you give us your core DraftKings single entry? Yeah, I'm loving Hamzat. I'm loving Islam, and I'm loving Trevor P. I like those 3 a lot. Those are probably my core there. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Javid Basharat going against Victor Henry. Basharat is the biggest favorite on the card, currently sitting at minus 600. Victor Henry sitting at plus 425. Not much sticking out here for me as well. Big favorite here in Basharat. I think it's one of those fights where he does win, but it is a lot more competitive than the line does indicate. I know a lot of people are on the Victor Henry plus 3.5 point spread, where in that case, Victor Henry, all he has to do is go out there and win at least one round on all 3 judges' scorecards. But the thing about point spreads that really terrifies me is these terrible, crooked, corrupt, awful judges. Just because, if you do bet a point spread and say Henry does go out there and win a round, right? If the judges score it 29-28, 29-28, and then 30-27 for Basra, I mean, you lose that bet. It only takes one terrible scorecard for you to lose a bet like that. And I'm trying to avoid those point spreads more often than not. I've had 2 point spread bets this year. They both hit. I had Max Griffin against Michael Morales, and then I had another one as well. I was going to also bet the Dan Ige point spread against Bryce Mitchell, and one of the judges did score at 30-27 for Bryce Mitchell, so that would have lost. So, I mean, these judges terrify me, so I can't get there personally, but I get the reasoning. I think Henry could go out there and win a round, but, you're going to have to rely on these judges to get it right, which is scary. So, yeah, nothing from a betting perspective. I'm not parlaying up Basharat. It doesn't add anything to your parlay, and it probably will be a lot more sweatier than -600, but he should win this fight. From a Draftkings perspective, I don't really like Basharat at 9,400. There's a lot more better options. Dudakova up there, Jubilee's up there. Of course, you got Hamzat up there in the high 8K range. Islam's up there as well, so I can't get to much Basharat. If anything, it is probably a shot on Victor Henry at 6,800. Ridiculous volume from Henry, and if he is to pull it off, I mean, he's going to break the slate. So, yeah, it's a fight I'm not really looking forward to, but I think Basharat keeps the ball rolling there. Left that fight alone. Yeah, the Dumas fight or the Basharat. I'm leaving both those fights alone personally. Another parlay piece I'm parlaying. Basharat round 3 decision -225. I don't hate that. It's a good way to get the price down at least. I don't see him finishing Victor Henry. I think the decision is probably likely there. I did the fight starts the 3rd round, better odds, and Basharat money line. Yeah, I like that. I think that's good. Both guys are super, super tough. That's for sure. Hamzat is the parlay piece. I thought about it. Basharat by decision. That fight is priced out. Yeah, -150 for the Basharat decision. Yeah, they're all over it. They know that Victor Henry's just next level tough, next level durable, never been finished, and Basharat's not really been showing a ability to finish really anybody in the UFC thus far. So yeah, Basharat decision. It probably hits, but not a ton of value in laying -150 on a decision prop, I'd say. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We got one of my favorite fights, if not my favorite fight on the card. We got Trevor Peek going against Muhammad Yahya. Really looking forward to this fight. I do have a couple bets on it. The only bet I'm laying a minus number on this week is Trevor Peek inside the distance. -107 for 1 unit. And then I also bet Trevor Peek wins in round 1 or round 2. 0.75 units at +125. So I have 1.75 units in total in terms of Trevor Peek going out there and finishing Muhammad Yahya. What kind of scares me is everybody is on, Trevor Peek this week. This money line's been completely flipped and heavily steamed in favor of Trevor Peek. Trevor Peek opened up actually +330. That was back late September. And he was sitting around +150 for a while, like weeks, +150. But since, the last week, the line has flipped and Trevor Peek went from +150 to -175 now. And I think this money line continues to get wider. Obviously, it's terrifying, thinking of laying a minus number next to Peek, just because he's not that great. He doesn't have a ton of skills, but what he does have is he has heart, he has toughness, he has durability. He's shown that he can take a punch, he can take multiple punches, hard punches, and stay standing. Whereas with Muhammad Yahya, his opponent, I think he's decent everywhere. I'd say solid striker, solid volume, solid cardio. But the one thing that Yahya lacks, I think, is durability. You've seen him hurt multiple times. He's been finishing all 3 of his losses. I saw him get knocked out by a guy that wasn't that great. And then he also got club and subbed as well, dropped and submitted shortly after. So yeah, he's been hurt a lot, dropped a lot. He's hittable. And these guys are going to get into a dogfight. These guys are going to get into a car crash. And I think the guy that most people trust in a car crash type fight is Trevor Peek. So yeah, I like Peek. I think he finishes Yahya. Trevor Peek 100% finish rate in his wins. Yahya 100% finish rate in his losses. If Peek does win this fight, I think it's got to be inside the distance just because Peek is not a minute winner. But yeah, I think Peek's going to go all out for the finish. I think Yahya is going to see something he's never seen before, and I don't think he's going to react well to getting hit very hard in the face multiple times by one Trevor Peek. So I think Peek finished him in the first 2 rounds. From a Draftkings perspective, I think Peek's going to be one of the highest owned fighters on the slate. Everybody's on him this week, so I think Peek's a good play. I have a ton of them myself. But I also don't think Yaya's the worst start throw in the world. I think he's going to be lower owned than a lot of these guys in that range. So I don't hate both sides, but I'm more so on the Peak side. I think Peak goes out there and gets a finish, puts up a big score, and hopefully cashes an inside the distance ticket there. All right. Let's see here. What would you pair Baccarat with? Me? Nothing really. I mean, at minus 600, it just doesn't add anything to a parlay unless you want to do like multiple parlays. Tony saying, liking Trevor Peak, not only has Yaya been finishing all 3 losses, but gets wobbled every fight he's in. Yeah, I think the durability is a big question mark for Yaya there. Trevor will fight for your money, no doubt, 100%, 100%. Alaskarov, Peak, Hamzat, all to win in rounds 1 or round 2 is plus 426 on draft. Can be worth a shot. Yeah, I think all 3 of those do come through. Just getting on the scale, gassed out. Yaya, Peak, KO. Yeah, he didn't look great on the scales. Yaya didn't look that good on the scales. I agree. He didn't look that great, both at the weigh-ins last night and then the ceremonials as well. I got Trevor Peak fantasy score over 77.5 and over 4.5 minutes on Prize Picks before they bumped it. I love the over on the fantasy score. The 4.5 minutes is going to be one heck of a sweat there. And they have an extra 40 hours to rehydrate. Yeah, I think it's around 30, something like that. Let's see here. Thoughts on Volk and Naimov decision, no bet. The Volk one I don't love. The Naimov one I don't mind. Just because Naimov, I think his path is going to be to finish, and he's never been finished himself. Yeah, I think the Naimov one I like. The Volk one, I'd say if it wasn't short notice, yes, but the short notice, no. Yaya is a no-no. Certainly think so myself. Makayev sub in a parlay, I would just play it straight, personally, unless you're doing like a long shot. It's like plus 200. And I agree, Yaya just didn't look like he wanted to be there at weigh-ins, yeah, which is weird. I mean, it's his debut. He should be excited, right? If Hamzat, Islam, Trevor are your core, wouldn't you have to get a little weird for your last 3 spots? Because everyone will have those guys. Yeah, I did get a little weird, to be honest. I went with somebody very low salaried there. Syed is the best valued favorite. He could be. The Peak fight times at 6.5. Interesting. That got smashed. Brady, any ideas on a foundation 4 to 6 leg parlay? I like Hamzat. I like Islam. I like a lot of these favorites. Dudakova. I like Jubilee. But I mean, if you parlay those 4, I mean, you're only getting like minus 150 maybe, or I mean plus 150 maybe. So I mean, I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze myself. So I hate chalky fight weeks like this. Brady, what do you think about the over 30.5 strikes for P? I like the fantasy score a little bit more, but I think that also hits. I think he probably gets 30 within like the first 3 minutes. But if Yaya's durability is as bad as we think, I mean, I don't know if he survives. We got Samuel in the chat. Happy Friday, Brady. Looking forward to this card and hopefully going to make some money. That is always the goal. Yeah, looking forward to it as well. Early start time, good fights. I'm looking forward to it. We got Mushroom in the building. What is up, Mushroom? What's up, Brady? Sneak watching at work. Heck yeah, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Shout out to Mushroom. Brady, if you had a $100 bonus bet and had to pick one value fight this card, what would you take? Probably Hamzat inside the distance. I think Peak loses to the hometown guy with his Sultan buddy at weigh-ins. You think Peak loses? A lot of people are on Peak this week. I see lots of violence on this card. I see a decent amount myself. Dudakova had a bad weight cut. Yes, she did. But even if she came in here with one arm, I think I'd probably pick Dudakova still. And yes, she did. She did. But she'll be all right. She's fighting Jinyu Fry. She should win. All right. We'll move on to the next fight. We have Muhammad Makayev going against Tim Elliott. This is one of those fights where I think it's going to play out a lot closer than this line does indicate up until there's a finish. I really do think Muhammad Makayev is going to be live for a finish here at some point in this fight. I feel like for Tim Elliott to win this fight, he's going to have to fight a perfect 15 minutes. And we know with Tim Elliott, that's not the case a lot of times. Tim Elliott's been finished by submission 4 times in the UFC. Tim Elliott's now 36 years old. Tim Elliott doesn't have the best cardio. And Muhammad Makayev's an incredible grappler. He really is. I know he's going out there not beating the best level of competition, but, Malcolm Gordon, he's a guy that doesn't have a chin, right? But he's a black belt. He's a black belt. He's a good grappler. Jafel Filio, he's a black belt. He's a very good grappler. Muhammad Mokaev was able to tap out both those guys, it's impressive. Not the highest level guys again, but still impressive nonetheless that he was able to sub them. Tim Elliott gets put into bad spots. Tim Elliott starts to make mistakes. He starts to tire out. And I feel like this is going to be such a high-paced fight. It could look like the Brandon Royval fight. Remember how high-paced the Brandon Royval fight was? Tim Elliott and Royval were going after it the first round and a half. Tim Elliott starts to slow down. He made a mistake, and Royval submitted him in that second round. I could see something like that happening. So I don't love the minus 400 on Mokaev. But what I do like is the Mokaev by submission. I have 0.5 units on it at plus 230. It's currently plus 220 last time I checked on, I think, Bet Rivers. And it's one of those spots where I think Mokaev's going to have multiple opportunities to finish this fight and do it by submission. So, yeah, that's how I'm attacking it there. Small play on Mokaev by sub. I think that's his win condition. If it does go to decision, I think it's going to be close, actually. But I just feel like at some point during the 15 minutes, Elliott will make a mistake, and Mokaev will take advantage. And I think the much younger Mokaev goes out there, gets a statement win, and does it by submission. From a DraftKings perspective, it's tricky because Mokaev is so expensive this week, and this is a week where there's like no underdog sticking out. So it's kind of hard to get to Mokaev at this price tag. I think he scores well, but I think there's cheaper options I'd rather go to. Like I think Islam Makhachev, Khamzat Chimaev are much cheaper, and they even have more upside even. But Mokaev should win. He should score well. Tim Elliott 6,600 I don't think is like the worst cash play in the world, just because I think he can last a little bit. It will be a high-paced fight. He can get some takedowns, will land some strikes, and he's super cheap. So I don't hate Tim Elliott for cash, but yeah, from a betting perspective, I do like that Muhammad Mokaev by submission. And I saw Mokaev inside the distance, I think on Bet Online was plus 105. So getting the sub prop at plus 230, I mean, it doesn't make a ton of sense because I don't believe Elliott's ever been knocked out in the UFC. Maybe once. Like when Elliott's losing and getting finished, it is by submission. So the last time Elliott got knocked out in the UFC was never been knocked out in the UFC. So it's been sub. So I think Mokaev sub makes a lot of sense. At the very least, there's going to be opportunities, and at plus 230, I love me some opportunities there. Elliott has tapped to all the high-level dudes too. Yep, every time Elliott fights somebody high-level, he's tapping more often than not. Davison tapped him. Royval tapped him. Ben Nguyen, that's kind of questionable, but he tapped him. Joseph Benavidez tapped him, and then he got tapped outside the UFC as well. Mokaev lost his knee in the process, not sure how he healed it. Yeah, I was actually shocked to see that Filio fight was only like 6-7 months ago. So he healed very quickly. Obviously, hopefully he's not rushing back too soon. But if he's 100% good to go, I think it's a solid spot for him. Tim Elliott for the win. I think he makes it competitive. It's just I think for Tim Elliott to win this fight, he's going to have to fight a perfect fight for 15 minutes. Best number I'm seeing for Mokaev sub is plus 220 on FanDuel. It's on FanDuel. There you go. 200. Oh, it moved. Yeah, I think a lot of money is going to come in on that Mokaev sub prop up until fight time. Are there any women on this card? Yes, Dudakova is a female, and so is Fry. Couldn't find any logical way to get this fight down other than Mokaev sub or decision minus 330. I think he could finish and overwhelm Elliott. Just not super confident. I'm taking the sub myself, plus money. Don't hate it. And Tim Elliott, round 1 or 2 is taken off FanDuel. I wonder what the odds were. Probably something crazy because I think Tim Elliott inside the distance in general is like plus 1,200. So, yeah, I don't know if Tim Elliott's finishing really anybody. The last time Tim Elliott got a finish was Mark De La Rosa, which that doesn't really count. That's actually Elliott's only finish, Mark De La Rosa, which again, I don't know if that counts, to be honest. But yeah, we'll move on. We're going to get into this main card. Before we do so, we have 200 of you in here. If you guys could do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out Prize Picks, use that promo code DFSBTN, get yourself a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And then make sure you guys are on the lookout for Best Bet happening in 2 hours in 12 minutes. We got our guy Luke Betcha coming on, potentially giving us some yam bags, and we also have Danny Betts coming in as well. So really fun show planned. Friday special since the card is starting so early tomorrow. All right. Main card opener, Said Nurmagomedov going against Moin Gafarov. This fight is a tricky one. So my hot take of the week, or at least what I thought was my hot take when taping this fight, was, hey, I think Said Nurmagomedov can be the first person to finish Moin Gafarov. And then the props come out, and it's like the fight doesn't go to decision, opened up at like minus 180. Nurmagomedov inside the distance is only like plus 120. I'm like, what the heck? So the bookies are all over it. I thought that Nurmagomedov was going to have some finishing opportunities here. Gafarov, typically very tough, very durable, 23 fights, never been finished, but he does get hurt a lot. He does get dropped a lot. We saw Chad and Hellinger, of all people, drop him. We saw John Castaneda drop him. And Said Nurmagomedov, he's not very high volume, but when he does throw, when he does land, he is landing extremely hard. And then on top of that, he also has a very opportunistic submission game. But you're not getting a great price on these Nurmagomedov finish props at all. Like at all. Like they are all over it. They're kind of seeing what I'm seeing. At this point, I would probably just bet the over just because both guys never been finished. So it's a fight I'm staying away from. Nothing's really sticking out. Nurmagomedov minus 235. I kind of always struggle to get to that price tag with him just because he can make fights a lot closer than they need to be, especially if he's not finishing. And I do actually like Gafarov, or at least I did. I'm kind of lower on him than I once was. I was kind of high on him, but at this point, not really. So yeah, I think Nurmagomedov wins. I just don't really see a way of playing this fight. I don't really see much that sticks out on this one. So Nurmagomedov for me. From a DraftKings perspective, I struggle to get to the 8,800 there for Nurmagomedov just because you got Hamzat $100 more, you got Islam $100 less. Maybe it's a nice contrarian play just because he is, packed right between those two plays, which Hamzat's probably the first or second highest owned. Islam's probably the first or second highest owned. So that means, Nurmagomedov is going to be very low owned. So for that reason, I guess he's not like the worst dart throw in the world in terms of he's going to be very, very low owned. So maybe he's able to get a first round finish, but it's really hard to get to it from a DraftKings perspective with those two around him. So yeah, give me Nurmagomedov, but not much sticking out from a DraftKings perspective, a betting perspective, any perspective. But it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a very good fight. The two dogs that are interesting to me are Elliott and Walker. Now we'll talk about that Walker fight. Taking Said, I think he's underrated. Yeah, I'd kind of say so. I think people crap on him a lot, but yeah, I think he's really good. Tons of money came in on Breeden. I don't love that one though. Yeah, I don't like Breeden myself, but we'll see what happens there. We got Bailey in the chat. What is up, Bailey? Said should win, but something stinks with this fight, and I can feel that. Not me betting this dude shaves years off your life. Yeah, I agree. It definitely does. But he should win. I mean, he should win this fight. I think Said is layable this weekend. Yeah, I don't think it's the worst look in the world. There's not a lot of playable prices out there. I think Said is probably the second biggest favorite on the card. I mean, that's what we're dealing with this week. We have a lot of massive favorites, and I think Said's like the second biggest favorite. Or the second least biggest favorite. Yeah, second least biggest favorite. Said is certain for high blood pressure. Could be. We got Pilot, new subscriber. Appreciate you, Pilot Jones. Thank you for the sub there. Does mean a lot. I'm low key. I low key like Makayev inside the distance sub. Yeah, me too. I'm on the sub myself. All right, we'll keep moving on. We got Ikram Alaskarov going against Warley Alves. Very fun fight here. I thought three fighters didn't look the best at weigh-ins. I thought due to COVID looked rough, very rough. I thought that Breeden looked rough. And then I thought Warley Alves, not that he looked rough, it's just he didn't look like his normal self. He wasn't completely jacked. He wasn't in incredible shape. It kind of looked like he kind of taking this fight off the couch, which he is. He's coming in here on short notice, up a weight class. So yeah, I don't think Warley Alves looked the best today at weigh-ins. What I like here, I think, is a sneaky spot is somebody said in the chat earlier. So Ikram fight starts round 2 is minus 105. I don't think that's the worst look in the world. And when you think of Warley Alves, you think of this round 1 monster, like finishing everybody in round 1, right? But that's not really the case. Warley Alves has 14 UFC fights, and believe it or not, only 2 of those have finished in the first round, which that kind of surprised me because, like, when you think of Alves, you think of this round 1 monster, but no, he only has 2 finished wins in the first round. Once was against Colby Covington a long time ago, and the other was against Manir Lazez. Other than that, his fights are going to round 2. With that said, though, Alves has 3 finish losses, and all 3 of those come in the second round. One was against James Krause. One was against Jeremiah Wells, and I forget who the other one was against. But yeah, 3 finish losses for Alves, all 3 of those coming in the second round. So yeah, I don't mind that fight starts round 2, but what I did, I put a half a unit on Ikram Alaskarov to win this fight in round 2, plus 450, half a unit on that. And then I also have a quarter unit on Ikram Alaskarov to win this fight in round 3, plus 1100. I don't think he gets to round 3. I kind of think it ends in round 2. I think Alves is going to hang in there early on. He's going to be dangerous early on. But as this fight goes on, Alves, we always worry about his cardio. And I think on short notice, we're going to have to worry about it even more. As far as, Ikram on DraftKings, I like him 9,500. I think he finishes this fight in the second round. Worley Alves is 6,700. I don't think he's the worst punt play in the world, because if he does win this fight, it's got to be in the first round, especially on short notice. But I think it's going to be really hard to go out there and finish a guy like Ikram early on, so especially on short notice. So I think Ikram kind of weathers the early storm, takes us in the deep waters, and finishes Alves down the stretch there. All right. Can you tell me all the winners, please, guys, one by one, if anyone is certain? The winner, I don't know. All the favorites aren't going to win. Yeah, I doubt it. One of these dogs are going to win. It's just which dog is going to win. I don't know. Johnny Walker with the upset. I think fight starts round 2 is a trap bet, maybe, but a lot of data backing up that fight starts round 2. Worley Alves, 12 of 14 of his fights have started round 2, which kind of shocked me to see. I don't see Khamzat winning a stand-up war against Usman. If Khamzat can get Usman down to the mat and hold him there, I can't see him not getting the KO sub. Kind of agree and kind of disagree. I mean, on the feet, I think that Usman's probably the minute winner, but on the feet, I mean, it's clear as day Khamzat's going to have a big power advantage. So I feel like Khamzat could knock him out on the feet, but I do agree with you that if Khamzat does get Usman to the ground, I mean, it's going to be over shortly after. Let's see here. I should have bet this one early. Ikram was an underdog. I don't think so, man. That would be shocking. Ikram opened up minus 300 on Bet Online, and he's currently minus 575. If he was an underdog, somebody needs fired, especially against Worley Alves. He was supposed to fight somebody else, though, so maybe he was an underdog against somebody else. But yeah, he was an underdog against somebody else. He was an underdog against, I think, what's his face? I forget his name. The guy that fought Chris Curtis. I think people are overrating Walker and heavily underrating Magomedov. I don't think so. I mean, Magomedov's a big favorite. He's minus 350. This man could have or should have won the title versus Jan. That is true. We all know it's due to politics with the UFC that it was a draw. Yeah, it was a terrible decision. Sharad, Dudikova, Nathaniel Wood, Javid Bashrat, Muhammad Makayev, Saidar Magomedov, Ikram Magomedov, Ankalaev, Khamzat, and Islam should win, guys. I agree. Did Ikram look a little bit out of shape? I thought so, and he's had his fight change the bunch recently. Still think he takes it by decision. I don't think he was like in amazing shape, and I don't think he looked horrible, but I had to go back and look. I want to smash the under in the Walker Magomed fight. I'm not doing that myself. Fight card starts at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Does it start at 10 now? I thought it was 11. Oh, 10. Let me take a look here. Yeah, you're right. 10 o'clock in the morning. I could have swore I saw 11. That is not terrible, but it's early. We got Hamza in the chat. What is up, Hamza? Best of luck tomorrow. Taking on Kamaru Usman, biggest fight of your life, and hopefully you do go out there and smash. I can't believe Jinyu Fry is still fighting me as well. Kind of thought she'd go 0-3 and get cut, but I think she's 2-6. Telling you on Ikram round 2. Yeah, a lot of people are on it, which kind of scares me, but I think it makes a lot of sense. All of Alves' losses have come in round 2. And yes, Nasser Dean. Yep, that was the fight. All right, we'll keep moving on. We got Magomed Ankalaev going against Johnny Walker, the worst fight on the card, and that's because it's a Magomed Ankalaev fight. Magomed Ankalaev fights, they suck more often than not. I think he's a great fighter. He's incredible. He's very skilled. skill for skill, one of the best light heavyweights in the division. It's just he's super boring. He's not fun to watch, but that doesn't mean he can't go out there and win this fight. I think he does. I think he has multiple paths here. On the feet, Ankalaev doesn't throw anything, but if he does decide he wants to throw, he could knock out Johnny Walker. But I think he has a clear path to victory with just taking down Johnny Walker. And once Johnny Walker gets taken down, just has nothing off his back. We saw what Nikita Krylov was able to do to him, took him down, held him down for the majority of the fight. Magomed Ankalaev has shown the ability to do exactly that. He showed it in the Jan Blachowicz fight. He did it in the 4th round and the 5th round, had success doing it. He has the skills to go out there and beat Johnny Walker. And I think he does do it. But minus 350 on a guy like Ankalaev who just doesn't do anything, I don't really want to lay it. And then in terms of the totals, it's very tricky because this fight could end in an instant if these guys decide to fight. But I have a feeling both these guys are going to decide not to fight, because even Johnny Walker as of late has been really reserved, fighting a lot smarter, doing a lot of nothing. And he kind of has to fight that way because of his chin, right? And I think he's changing up his style a little bit. And Magomed Ankalaev is very reserved, very defensively sound, very defensively responsible. I think we can get a very, very terrible fight here, but I think Ankalaev has all the paths to win. From a DraftKings perspective, I'm not touching this one. If anything, it's Johnny Walker, because if we do get the old version of Johnny Walker, the crazy version of Johnny Walker, the dangerous version of Johnny Walker, maybe he does finish Ankalaev early. But if we get the reserved, patient Johnny Walker, I mean, he's going to lose this fight pretty easily. I mean, you don't want to be patient with a guy like Ankalaev in there. So a fight I'm not looking forward to personally, a fight that I'm not betting. But I think Ankalaev should go out there and win. Thoughts on Johnny Walker finish only plus 300? I thought about it. I actually did think about that one. The thing that concerns me is Johnny Walker is not durable at all. And if Ankalaev does decide he wants to fight, I mean, he probably easily finishes Johnny Walker. I don't know. It's just a fight I don't really want to put any money on. Johnny Walker love this week is pretty funny. Yeah, it's one of those weeks where there's not a lot of dogs. So I mean, we're going to get some pretty interesting dog picks of the week. I mean, a lot of people are on Breeden. A lot of people are on Tim Elliott. I mean, it's one of those weird weeks where I think people are really struggling to find underdogs this week. But one of them is going to come through, and somebody's going to look very, very smart. Let's see here. I have a feeling Ankalaev gets slept after that draw with Jan. Maybe. I mean, I don't know, it could happen. These guys are light heavyweights. These guys hit very hard. Ankalaev, low output, possibly record-breaking decision. Yeah, I think very low outputs on the table. I want Walker to win, but I don't know. Yeah, I wish they would have gave Walker a more willing dance partner for this fight. Lost one fight. He was winning at the last second of the 3rd round. Lost one fight that he was winning. Yes, Ankalaev, the Paul Craig fight. Yep, that is true. Other than that, he's been perfect. Brady, let's go. Did we not see the trip? Yeah, I saw that. Walker went out there this morning or last night, weighing in with the most ridiculous hairstyle I think I've ever seen. It was actually quite terrifying. I'll see if I can pull up that picture, but it was very, very terrifying. I don't think I have it, but yeah, I don't know what he was doing there. I threw a little on the Walker's money line. I don't know. I mean, I was maybe looking at the finish only, because I don't think he wins a decision. I mean, if he wins a decision, this fight could be like the worst fight ever. Possibility all the favorites win. I think there's a solid chance, but I mean, there's got to be at least one dog that comes through. It's just who is it? I don't know. The antics of Walker chewing up a picture of Ankalaev will come out to bite him. I'm taking the humble and respectful guy over him. Karma will play out. I actually didn't see that. He chewed up a picture of him? My gosh. My goodness. Is Magomed blind in one eye? Yes, he is. Brady, I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I love Usman money line. Yeah, I'm the complete opposite, but yeah, there's been some people with you. A lot of people are like shocked that I'm taking Hamzat to dominate Usman, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll talk about that fight next, actually. And we got Lenny. What's up, Lenny, with the $4.99? Appreciate you, Lenny. He says, did you like Volk on the scales? Do you see him knocking out Islam? I don't think he looked bad. I also don't think he looked in the best shape in the world. He's taken this fight on very short notice. Um, do I think he knocks out Islam? I think for him to win, he's going to have to knock out Islam. But personally, no, I don't. I don't think so. But anything can happen. Johnny Walker is a bigger underdog than Mike Breeden. What a time to be alive. How many hours until the fights start? Uh, I don't know. 17 hours. Is that will dominate? And how's he cleared to fight with one eye? I mean, there's fighters with there's a fighter with no arm. There's a fighter with I think there's a fighter with missing both legs. So I mean, you could fight without an eye. All right, move on to the co-main event. Khamzat Chimaev going against Kamaru Usman. And yeah, this is a fight where it's all about the narrative for me. If this fight was a full camp for Kamaru Usman, if this fight was a 34-year-old Kamaru Usman on a full camp, I would absolutely bet him here. I would bet him at this price tag. The fact of the matter is, he's not coming in here on a full camp. He's coming in here on 10, 11 days notice. He's coming in here as a 36-year-old man. He's coming in here, after battling and dealing with multiple injuries the latter half of his career. There's a lot of things going against Kamaru Usman here. He's coming up a weight class for the first time, I think, ever. I think this is the first time Usman's ever fought at 185. There's just a lot of things going against Usman. Chimaev's had a full camp. Chimaev is the younger guy. He's the fresher guy. He's very dangerous. He's getting better. He's making improvements. Whereas Usman, I don't like the short notice for him. And I do think he's declining a little bit. I mean, I don't think that's even a hot take. I think Usman's declining a little bit. He was on top of the world for a while, for a couple years, had multiple title defenses. And then he was on his way to beating Leon Edwards in the 5th round. He got head kick knocked out. And then the next fight after that, he just looked off. He looked bad. He looked like he didn't want to be there. I did see he was making some excuses, like he shouldn't, something along the lines of he shouldn't have taken the second or the third, in this case, Edwards fight. But he didn't look great, and now he's coming here on short notice against an absolute killer in Khamzat. I don't like it. I think Khamzat wins this fight. I think Khamzat wins this fight in very dominant fashion. I was actually shocked to see the violence props, and I think a lot of it has to do with the Gilbert Burns fight. But Khamzat has been over 1.5 rounds only once in his career. He's been to the 3rd round only once. He's been to decision only once. 12 wins for Khamzat. 11 of them come under 1.5 rounds. I think Khamzat has a good chance to finish Usman. I think if Chimaev takes down Kamaru Usman, he makes it look very easy. I think if he's not able to take down Kamaru Usman, it's going to be a lot harder. And I think it will look competitive. But I think at some point, Chimaev has the power to knock out Usman, to knock him down. Like we saw Chimaev knock down Gilbert Burns, hurt him. But with Gilbert Burns, this guy's a world champion in BJJ. I mean, this legit black belt Gilbert Burns, one of the best grapplers in the UFC. If he knocks down Usman, I mean, he's finishing him. Like Usman's going to have nothing off his back. So I think Chimaev finishes this fight. I think he does it within the first 2 rounds. And I have a 1-unit bet on Chimaev inside the distance plus 100. And then a 0.75 unit bet on Chimaev to win in round 1 or round 2 plus 175. And I love Chimaev for DraftKings as well. I mean, it's not often we see Chimaev at 8,900 on DraftKings. And I don't think we'll see him at 8,900 for a while, probably. So let me some Chimaev this week. I'm not underestimating Kamaru Usman. I really don't think I am. I think there's a lot of things going against him. I think there's a lot of, like I said, full camp a couple years ago. This is Usman all day at this price. But the fact of the matter is, he's coming in here on so short notice, and he is getting up there in age. So love me some Usman this week. This line looks to be staying around the same, I guess. Was sitting around minus 300. Now it's minus 330. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Let's see here. I don't know how you can trust an old Usman with no knees, a bad back on short notice. Looks like he lost a step versus Leon last fight. Not the same fighter. I agree with you. Am I crazy for salivating at the thought of Kamaru Usman the same guy who finished Gilbert Burns sitting at plus 270. The former dominant champ guy who beat Colby twice, plus 270. Hey, maybe you get it. Maybe Usman wins this fight. I don't know. I don't like it personally, though, to be honest. Chimaev and Syed the money line are so free. That's my opinion. I like Khamzat a lot more than Syed, but I do like them both. Khamzat has been prepping for Costa, which would have been a harder fight in my opinion. Now that I don't know about. I don't know about that, but I think he would have finished Costa pretty easy, to be honest. Does this look like Kevin Holland first round sub? I do think it's in the first round. I know a couple people thought I was crazy for thinking that, but we saw Leon Edwards take down Kamaru Usman, get into mount, and there's a big difference between Leon Edwards being in mount and Khamzat Chimaev being in mount. I mean, if Khamzat is able to take him down, I don't think Usman's lasting. Was that by decision? Quite confident he won't finish, but will take the win. If it does go to decision, I'm not even sure. I think it's gonna be close if it goes to decision. He's getting the finish. I mean, I hope so. We've got Khamzat Chimaev round 1 finish. Bet Boost has it at plus 300. Costa is trash. I don't know if he's trash, but I think Khamzat would have easily beat him there. What would Usman's most likely path to victory be if he can survive? The most likely path would be stuffing all the takedowns. I mean, he can't afford to get taken down at all. Keeping on the feet and then just outpointing Usman, extending the fight, clinching up a lot, or out pointing Chimaev, clinching up a lot. And yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah, I think it could be under 5. If not 5, then I think the second round. All right. Hopefully we don't see an Usman have a Tyron Woodley type decline. I don't know. I hope not either. All right. So we'll move on to the main event. We got Islam Makhachev going against Alexander Volkanovski. Let's see what the line is now on Islam. Minus 250, minus 240. So it looks like some monies came in on Volkanovski here. And it's kind of the same thing as the Chimaev Usman fight. You have Volkanovski coming in here on very short notice. And it's hard not to go back and watch their first fight and not like Islam in this matchup. Like Islam went out there. I rewatched the fight. I remember the fight night. A lot of people thought Volk won. I went back and watched the fight. I don't really see how anybody could think Volk won the fight. I mean, I thought Islam won 3 rounds pretty clearly. He hurt Volkanovski, and I think the first and second round. And obviously Volk won the 5th round, but yeah, I thought Islam won the fight pretty close but clear in my opinion. And then now Volkanovski coming in here after a surgery not too long ago. He's coming in here on very, very short notice. I mean, just a lot of things going against Volkanovski. If he can pull this off, it'd be incredible. But it's hard to watch the first fight and then add these circumstances in there and not go with Islam Makhachev. So I like Islam here to win this fight. I guess it all comes down to how does he do it? Because I could see multiple paths here. I could see a decision for Islam Makhachev. I could see a knockout for Islam Makhachev. I don't know if I see a sub, to be honest, because Volkanovski is ridiculously hard to sub. Like, even in their first fight, Islam didn't even come close to subbing him. Sub defense is on point, but Islam did come close to knocking him out. I mean, Islam hurt Volk a couple times. So what I did in this fight, I took a half unit shot on the fight to end by knockout, half a unit plus 240. And the reason being is I think if Volk wins, it's by knockout. I mean, Volk's not obviously going to sub him, and I don't think Volk's winning a decision. If Volk wins, it's by knockout. And then as far as Islam, he has power. He has power. We saw him drop Charles Oliveira. We saw him hurt Volkanovski twice in their last fight. And then on top of that, I think the grounded pound can come into play as well. So I think the fight ending by knockout, it's not a terrible look just because Volk is so hard to get subbed. The fight doesn't go to decisions, minus 140. So getting the that's 145. So getting the fight ends by knockout at plus 240 is something I don't mind. Could Islam sub him? Potentially. But Volk's sub defense is just on point. So that's how I'm attacking it. I thought about potentially laying the wood with Islam. I thought about laying the minus 250. I don't hate that. I think it could be wider, but it is hard to completely count out a guy like Volk. That's for sure. One of my favorite fighters, Alexander Volkanovski. From a DraftKings perspective, I think Islam's a great play. He's cheaper than the last time they fought, which is very interesting. And then as far as Volkanovski, 7,500, I mean, it's hard to ever ignore Volkanovski at this price tag as well. I'm going to have a lot of Islam, but I don't think Volkanovski is the worst dog in the world. But I do think if Volk wins this fight, it is going to be by knockout. All right. We got Uncle Weezy in the chat saying, "Oi, what is up, Uncle Weezy? Best of luck to you tomorrow." Apparently, Weezy, the fights are at 9 o'clock Central Time in the morning. I could have swore I saw 11 Eastern, but I guess I didn't. So really early, really early. If you watch an interview on the MMA Hour, Volk talks about he doesn't want to leave it to the judges this time. That is true. He said that. I think he empties the tank and tries to get Islam out of there. Fight doesn't go decision is minus 135. The only thing that scares me about that is, I mean, it's hard to trust what some of these fighters say, right? Like, these guys lie a lot. I mean, they lie all the time. So he could be saying that, but he could also go out there and do the complete opposite. I mean, fighters lie all the time. You can't really take into account what they say too much in these interviews. But Islam all day, in my opinion. Islam definitely won 3-2. I thought it was a clear 3-2. I had it 3-2. And I thought you could argue 4-1, but I did give Volk one of the rounds. I forget which round it was. Heart says Volk. My head says Islam. It'd be a heck of an upset if Volk pulls it off. It ain't easy being Wheezy. That is the truth. That is the truth. Bianca was saying, "What's everyone in the chat? Smash the like button and smash the like button. Let's do it." And I believe Hamzat is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. So I like when me and Weezy line up, because if I was to have an ass shaving, it probably would be Hamzat as well, or Trevor Peak. Gonna be 2 p.m. in South Africa. That's a good time. I like that time. 2 p.m. Then Ohio State's gonna beat down Penn State at noon. Yeah, it's tough because I've been an Ohio State fan forever, but I did go to Penn State, so my two teams going at it. If I had to pick one, it's got to be Ohio State. Folks should have got the decision last fight. I think gets it done this time. We got a trilogy in the works. I don't know. I don't think he won that first fight at all. And if he wins this fight, I mean, that would be very impressive. What are your best prize pick plays? I like the Jubilee more than 1.5 takedowns, and I like the Peak more on the fantasy score, but the Peak more on the fantasy score has been smashed throughout the week. Penn State wins. I think they're dogs last time I saw them. All right, so I'll quickly go over my bets. Peak inside the distance, 1 unit, minus 107. Peak wins in round 1 or round 2, 0.75 units, plus 125. Chimaev inside the distance, 1 unit, plus 100. Chimaev winning in round 1 or 2, 0.75 units, plus 125. Aliskerov wins in round 2, 0.5 units, plus 450. Aliskerov wins in round 3, 0.25 units, plus 1100. Makayev sub, half a unit, plus 230. Volk Islam ends in KO, half a unit, plus 240. Dudakova inside the distance, half a unit, plus 150. And then Dudakova by sub, quarter unit, plus 400. 10 bets, 9 plus money. Trying to navigate my way through the chalk this week. I'm interested to see who the parlay buster is. I mean, somebody's going to bust one of these parlays. I'm not sure who it is, but I'm sure these parlays will be busted by somebody. But yeah, interested to see how it all shakes out. Hamza saying sleeping on Volk round 1 KO. I kind of think that's the path. Early knockout. Respect for the Elkins pick last week. Nobody saw that coming. I know Uncle Weezy was on Elkins. And Uncle Weezy called the round 3. I called the round 3. Uncle Weezy called. It was one step ahead. He called the round 3 sub, which was plus 2,100. I don't know. I thought it could have been either KO or sub. It was sub, which was 2,800. So I wish I would have jumped on that sub as well, but I was happy with the plus 1,800 there. Islam decision only, seems hard to lose. Yeah, I like that. I actually like that a lot. I like that a lot. Where's that at? Is that the Draftkings? I do like that. Called it, but didn't bet it. At least you bet on the money line, though. But man, 2,800, ridiculous. Shout out to Darren Elkins. What did you major in at Penn State? Business. And let's see here. Navigating chalk. We ride. Yes. Yes. That is for sure. All right. Flush everyone early. Flush everyone. What does that mean? What does that mean? All right. Well, I'm going to head out, everybody. Best of luck for your bets. Enjoy the fights. Enjoy the early fights. And be on the lookout for Best Bet. It's starting in 1 hour and 40 minutes. Same channel. And yeah, guys, best of luck, everybody. And we'll talk to you very soon. See you later.